This is Camnet News. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. Thank you so much for joining us. As you may be aware, Zambia has joined the Global Village in commemorating 16 days of gender activism. And in this period, people talk about different issues affecting women and girls. And later on the news desk, we'll be joined by NGOCC Board Chairperson, Mrs. Mary Mulenga, just to help us appreciate what this 16 days of gender activism mean to Zambians. For now, though, let's look at what's making headlines in our news. Heavy rains leave a trail of destruction in CHIKANKATA district. And gender minister says no to violence against women. Chief SIMAMBA of SIAVONGA regrets government's decision to cut aid under the Farmer Input Support Program. In international news, Ethiopia's Tigray crisis worsens as regional capital under heavy fire. In sports news, the Copper Queens beat Chile 2-1 in an international friendly. Let's take a breather. I'll be back with the details.
Zambia, are you ready for the Operating in the Courts of Heaven Conference 2020? Your next level is here. Dr. Francis Miles, a world-renowned healing evangelist, international motivational speaker, and Bible teacher, is coming to the Republic of Zambia December 3rd through the 5th, 2020 for the Operating in the Courts of Heaven Conference.
We know the reputation of that altar. We are in trouble. It's in the Bible. The Philistines had more reverence for the ark of God than the men who were carrying it. This is the problem of the church.
Hosted by Pastors Moses and Victoria Chaluba of Healing Word Ministries International and Ibex Hill opposite Hilltop Hospital. The conference theme is Issuing Divine Restraining Orders, Prosecuting Evil Altars from the Courts of Heaven. For more information, please call 260-962-965-883 to order Dr. Miles' new books, The Battle of Altars, Idol Riots, and Issuing Divine Restraining Orders from the Courts of Heaven. Please call this number 260-979-653-086. You can also purchase the books using mobile money on this same line on all networks. You can also bank e-wallet using the same line. Furthermore, you can also access Dr. Miles' books at his ministry office at Indeco House on 12th floor in room 1201. All of Dr. Miles' books will be available at Healing Word Ministries International during the conference. Come and get your books autographed by the men of God at the conference. See you there.
The details. Heavy rains have left a trail of destruction in CHIKANKATA district of Southern Province as a poultry farmer has lost more than 52,000 worth of investment, and a prefabricated Nanduba Health Center has also had its roof blown off. Farm owner Hamaimbo Moya of Hami Farms in CHIKANKATA's Nanduba area has told Member of Parliament Kawe Mwinga, who was in the company of District Commissioner Peter Mwinde, that the rainstorm which hit the area around 17:30 hours yesterday left a destruction that needs government intervention. Meanwhile, CHIKANKATA District Commissioner Peter Mwinde says his office will soon make its assessment report and provide the help for the affected people. Details in this report. A few minutes of rains in the past 2 weeks has been leaving a trail of damage on people's properties and businesses. Of late, Lusaka and some parts of the country have been making headlines with regards to damaged property as a result of the rains. Yesterday, CHIKANKATA District of Southern Province was a victim of the rains as some businesses were brought down, making the owners incur massive losses. To top it up, a makeshift health center that helped many people had its roof blown off. In the process of all this, a poultry farm has also been destroyed. Farm owner Hamaimbo Moya of Hami Farms is calling for government's intervention in this.
unaenda hapa ndani bakushaba na ninga ni hapa. Kama munchini hali ko hali kete. Nenya ti tididi yao twari kufunda ba mba kimba. No basaba tukaile ba mungu kete. Umbaje bala tujitire data we. Kuti tiage mai atogere mani. Muri oyo mwana musika kwako na ata.
And CHIKANKATA Member of Parliament Kabo Mwinga has appealed to the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit through the Office of the District Commissioner to immediately come to the aid of the people whose houses had their roofs blown off last night.
First of all, we want to thank you for your swiftness in the way you've handled this issue. I want to actually make an appeal to government to swiftly come as soon as possible and help our people here. These people, of course, it's a disaster, but we cannot allow them to continue living in the manner they've even slept last night. So come to the aid of these people as government, because that's your responsibility. That's my responsibility too. Like you've seen even the clinic, that clinic saves a lot of people. So it is indeed imperative that we work as a team so that we actually put that house in order.
Meanwhile, District Commissioner Peter Mwinde says his office will soon make its assessment report and provide help for the affected people.
We will ask the MMU to assist us. We are having a judgment here that we will intervene as government to see what they are going to, the assessment team which is here, they are going to advise us what exactly we are going to do. But I want to also appeal that yes, it's true that sometimes you may say that it's really you had only a little money to come up. But I think these nails from me are supposed to be 5 to 6 inches. But these ones, Mwami wangu.
Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News, Lusaka. In a related development, Lusaka District Commissioner David Silobanji has warned residents to stop dumping garbage in the stream along the area in Kalikiliki to allow smooth flow of rainwater. Mr. Silobanji says the compound has continued to experience disasters due to encroachment and illegal garbage disposal, forcing government to spend huge sums of money in trying to help the affected residents. His comments follows Friday's rains that have affected some families in the area, destroying properties and flooding houses in Lusaka's Kalikiliki compound. Details in this report.
It is a common trend in every rain season for Kalikiliki residents to experience floodings that end up destroying property, and this year is nothing different. Lusaka District Commissioner David Silubanji is calling on all Kalikiliki residents to stop the habit of throwing garbage in the Kalikiliki stream, which end up blocking the flow of water, diverting the water into homes, which end up destroying properties.
For Lusaka, because of the flash rains we just had the previous days, and we saw a lot of properties being damaged as a result of these flash rains, especially in the eastern part of Lusaka. This is a Nali constituency in particular. We saw a lot of houses being damaged. The Mtendere, Kalikiliki compound, and the part of Mtendere compound. And this is those houses, especially the properties, those which have been erected along the stream. It was very unfortunate that really they lost most of their foodstuffs and the small items for the household items.
But what will happen to some of the residents who were affected in the flash rains that have destroyed their foodstuffs and left some homeless?
What we have done as a government through district disaster management is to mitigate by helping them, give them some bit of food as a relief whilst they are trying to look for other means to get the food and probably shift from some of these homes. Illegal dumping of garbage in that stream has also caused that problem, because in some areas, especially where they have closed up the stream, it has been choked by these garbages, and when water can't go through, it passes into people's homes as a result.
And what is the best solution to help settlers in this area?
Previously, there were indications that those people should be relocated to some safe area, and most of those houses have been marked for demolition. But what happened is that people had showed resistance. I'm happy now that through the council, some people have shown willingness to shift from that area because they have known that as long as they remain there, to be a perennial problem, they will be having this problem. Come rains, this problem will not end because we cannot stop the rains.
Prudence Chota for Camnet TV News.
Lusaka City Council Public Health Director Edgar Mulwanda has warned residents of Lusaka against indiscriminate dumping of waste, adding that those found wanting will be taken to court. Mr. Mulwanda was speaking during the Keep Zambia Clean, Green and Healthy campaign exercise conducted on Saturday in Kamwala Ward 5 along Tokyo Way. Mr. Mulwanda has observed that residents along Tokyo area are in the habit of dumping waste indiscriminately and not describing the franchise contractors. He further warned all residents to subscribe to franchise contractors in their respective locations so that all the generated waste within the area can be collected and not dumped where it is not supposed to be dumped. Every last Saturday of the month, the Lusaka City Council joins the rest of the country in participating in the Keep Zambia Clean, Green and Healthy campaign, which was relaunched by President Edgar Lungu.
Area along the ring road where we are doing activities with regards to the Keep Zambia Clean, Green and Healthy. Today is the last Saturday of the month, and every last Saturday of the month we have these heightened activities across the city, and we are collecting accumulated waste which has accumulated along this area. We have been collecting in these areas for some time, but now we're hoping we are collecting for the last time because what has happened is we've reduced the sizes of waste management districts and increased on the number of franchise contractors, and we're hoping that all the people who live in this area will be able to subscribe to these franchise contractors. We want everyone to subscribe to the franchise contractor so that indiscriminate disposal is reduced or it is stopped, because if at all you are found not subscribing, we are taking people to court, and we don't want anyone to go to court because of a simple thing of subscribing in the franchise contractor. We encourage everyone to take part in this very important day, because this is a day which has been set aside for everyone, not just the council, but everyone to participate in keeping our surroundings clean and green so that we can be healthy. We can only be healthy if our surroundings are clean. We are in the rain season now, and we do not want to have the cholera disease, and cholera comes in. One of the factors is due to indiscriminate disposal of solid waste.
Gender Minister Elizabeth Piri has urged political parties, including the Patriotic Front and the United Party for National Development, to stop perpetuating violence against women. The minister condemned the recent beating of UPND Chilanga aspiring Member of Parliament Charmaine Musonda and other suspected political cadres. Ms. Piri says violence must not be condoned regardless of who is perpetuating it. Speaking to Camnet TV, Ms. Piri explained that politics must be based on ideologies and not violence. She has since underscored the need for people to exhibit tolerance towards one another.
As a Minister of Gender, I'm so disappointed for the beating of Charmaine. Considerless of who is who, as long as it is a woman touched, you touch one woman, you touch everyone. I'm appealing to the political cadres, whether PF or the opposition, to desist from violence, because it will not build our country. We want leaders that can lead by example. You know, these youths are the future leaders. So if they start beating, women, it means they cannot keep the women. So let them desist from beating, even beating each other. Politics should be, discussions of ideas. It's ideology. When you differ on ideologies, this should not bring you to violence. I am Patriotic Front, but even those that are in opposition, they have got reasons why they stick to those political parties. It's the ideology that they have thought, this is what I can go with. Me, I can go with the ideology of PF, but there are others that think where they are is where it's best. So let us, win people by what we are going to tell them. Why should we remain in PF, or why should they be there? We will not achieve anything. It's not only Shamin who was beaten. In Kabwata, there was a young man who was beaten by UPND. Considerate of whoever has been injured, that's a human being, and that's a Zambian. And those are the people that we are ruling, and those that want to come and rule this country would come and rule. And if they beat their masters, their clients, those that they wish they can,
Caritas Zambia has charged that there can be no meaningful development without the full participation of women, hence calling for an eco-society. Speaking at an event dubbed Walking Towards Equality in commemoration of 16 days of gender activism, Saturday, Caritas Executive Director Eugene Kabilika says ending gender-based violence is everyone's duty. Mr. Kabilika notes that inequality is fast crippling society as a result of gender-based violence. He has since called for the spirit of Ubuntu among the Zambian people and indeed the global village. This year's 16 days of gender activism has been themed Orange the World, Fund, Respond, Prevent and Collect. Details in this report. 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, GBV, is gaining momentum, with youths from various universities Saturday met through a march past they dubbed Walking Towards Equality. This year's activism period is themed Orange the World, Fund, Respond, Protect and Collect. The youths, who met under the auspices of Caritas Zambia, among other non-governmental organizations, have called for a stop towards gender-based violence and generally gender inequalities. According to the youths, GBV prevents people from reaching their full potential. They have since called for a stop and more will from our leaders in attaining a free gender-based violence society.
I would like to see, one, I need to see reduction in gender-based violence, and I'd also like to see proper allocation of resources to communities and transparency in decision-making.
After the end of 16 days, I would like to see more women participating in activities as the one that we are having right now. Yes, I've noticed a number of women are sidelined by the so-called norms of society. A woman is supposed to be at home, a woman is supposed to be taking care of kids. And at the end of the day, I would really wish more women would be sensitized, actually be aware that they're actually equal.
In Caritas Zambia, Executive Director Eugene Kabilika has charged that the loss in human dignity and respect has resulted in the rise of gender-based violence cases countrywide. He says if GBV against women and children can be stopped, then the country can fight social and economic violence.
Speeches and speeches, but women and children are still dignity are still violated. We need to begin to act, and action is now, not later, not tomorrow or any other time.
Who's going to raise their children? He goes to jail. She goes to the grave.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka. In other news, police in Lusaka have apprehended a murder suspect in the case of Dr. Tasila Tembo. Lieutenant Najo Musonda Mwava, aged 33, of plot number 3827 Ballastone area, Lusaka West, was spotted at Memorial Park around 16 hours. Lieutenant Mwava has been positively identified by officials from the Ministry of Defense. Lieutenant Mwava is currently detained in police custody. This is contained in a statement issued to the media by Police Deputy Spokesperson Danny Mwale. Moving on in the news, Opposition People's Alliance for Change President Antford Banda says Zambia will only attain meaningful development if people engage in issue-based politics. Speaking when he met disc jockeys, commonly known as DJs, says DJs have a critical role to play in speaking against violence of any form. Mr. Banda says DJs or radio presenters need to use their audience to make a positive impact. Meanwhile, Zambian DJs have acknowledged that they have a responsibility to actively and positively contribute to the country's socio-economic and political development. Speaking on behalf of other presenters, Jack Mwale says it is time that DJs took up the mantle of championing matters of critical importance. Details in this report.
The Alliance for Change President Antford Banda says it is of great concern that politics in the country has taken a different dimension that embraces violence and intimidation at the expense of politics of ideas. Mr. Banda said this when he met a movement of radio presenters based in Lusaka, paid a courtesy call on him as part of their initiative to engage leaders of political parties to address violence ahead of next year's polls. Mr. Banda said considering the mass influence radio presenters have, they should use their platforms to influence positive change on how politics should be conducted in the country in order to uphold unity and peace.
All tactics are going to be, going to be applied, violence and whatnot. So the radio presenters have come at the right time because you did not have to wait for May 12th after the dissolution of Parliament to start this movement. We want by the time it is May 12th, this movement has got a countrywide influence. We'd like to encourage you to say that you should go to the Copper Belt and gather also your fellow radio presenters and hold a press conference and talk about issue-based campaign.
Mr. Banda further assured that the party will not embrace political violence but will focus on exploring ways to steer citizens-led national development.
Focus on issue-based campaigns. Just like the SG said, ngati mwaona kuti chipani chiyamba leo muziwe kuti chilibe plan. If you see a political party getting violent, just know that they don't have a plan. Their plan is to intimidate the opponent so that he is a chambe kuyopa. Timo, let's not move. Chambe kuyopa, bebe wakazimuvinya veka. But what should we compete on? And we're supposed to compete on ideas. We're supposed to compete on ideas. We're not supposed to compete with muscles. So these are ideas that we should be discussing so that you want to okay, which political party is going to empower the youth to own those businesses which are making blocks. Because the opportunities yambili tapasa ma foreigners. Ma foreigners wachoka kuma China kuti wambosunga mkuku. Ma foreigners wachoka kuma Lebanon wambopanda ma block. Ma foreigners wachoka kuti wambochita business ya agriculture wambochita tomato onion. When Zambians actually, if they are empowered, they can do those things.
And speaking on behalf of the movement of radio presenters in Lusaka, Jack Mwale, popularly known as the hot stepper from ZNBC Radio 4, said the initiative seeks to engage at least all leaders of political parties in an effort to address political violence that also threatens media practitioners.
As DJs in Zambia, and here in Lusaka in particular, we thought we should come together and add our voices to the vice that we have seen taking root in our country, which is political violence. And there are no better people that we can engage to uproot this vice other than the political players.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Moving on in the news, All People's Congress Party President Nason Musoni has cautioned the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, against disenfranchising potential voters by allowing a system to prematurely shut out willing voters on the 12th of December 2020. Mr. Msoni has emphasized on the need for ECZ to deliver a credible and acceptable process leading to the overall acceptance of the outcome by all legitimate political stakeholders. He says people are cognizant of the huge burden ECZ has in delivering a credible election next year. Meanwhile, Mr. Msoni has further reminded ECZ that the mode in the country clearly dictates that a free and fair election is an absolute necessity and should be devoid of any suspicion if the outcome is to be wholeheartedly accepted by the Zambian people.
Extremely troubling to hear the Electoral Commission announce that they are not going to extend the voter registration exercise beyond the 12th of December, that their current system will automatically shut itself on the 12th of December. I think that's troubling. The legitimate question we are asking this commission is whether they are in control of the process. If we allow a computer to disenfranchise the majority of our voters, potential voters, we will squarely blame the Electoral Commission. And I don't think that Zambians are in the mood of being subjected or undergoing through a process that leads to a sham election. And the burden on the Electoral Commission to deliver a credible, acceptable election outcome is quite high. The expectations of our people are quite high, and we expect nothing less than a credible election, a credible outcome. So we think that the Electoral Commission owes Zambians a duty of delivering a credible, acceptable election whose outcome will be accepted by all legitimate players in the election.
Operation Young Vote Executive Director Ges Nyirenda has accused the police of deceiving the nation for failing to stop political cadres from getting involved in the ongoing voter registration exercise being conducted at various centers. Mr. Nyirenda disclosed that the masquerading of party cadres at various voter registration centers, especially in compounds, is worrisome, which calls for serious police intervention as soon as possible. He was speaking to Camnet TV in an exclusive interview. Miriam Kaimba now reports.
Operation Young Voter Executive Director Ges Nyirenda has condemned the men and women in uniform of deceiving the nation that they are maintaining order and security at voter registration centers. Mr. Nyirenda says the lack of control by officers has left party cadres to interfere with the insurance of voters' cards. He adds that cadres have turned in harassing innocent citizens at different voters registration centers by masquerading as security personnel.
So the continued, storming of these registration centers by the cadres is a sign that, look, the police have failed us. There's nothing we can say. The police must really up their game if really things are to be, to be orderly. There's no way we are going to have order given by the cadres. Cadres are in an interested party. Cadres will choose who to get an NRC or who to register as a voter because they have an interest. And this cannot go on without being stopped like this.
Mr. Nyirenda has since appealed to Zambia police to take action against such vice.
The police IG, Mr. Kanganja, I mean, he must just come out of his cocoon and just direct his officers to do what is right. And if his officers are not doing anything, he himself must go on the ground and ensure that all these areas where cadres are masquerading as volunteers, are masquerading as officers or as people who are there to bring order, should come to a stop.
Meanwhile, the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, yesterday assured the nation that it had engaged political leaders to stop their cadres from masquerading at different voter registration centers. Chief Electoral Officer Patrick Shindano disclosed that the commission deployed sufficient security personnel at different centers to avoid such confusion from cadres.
Political party cadres, yes, this is something that we are fully aware. It's a concern. We've engaged with political parties, and I must mention that this vice is rife with all political parties, of course, all in the name of both ruling and opposition, not all in terms of all the political parties that we have in the country. And we have engaged them. Every citizen is equal before the law, and if one is in front, took the time and effort out of their busy schedule to wake up early and go and line up, nobody should be moved away from that queue or moved back in the queue because somebody has ferried political party cadres. That is unacceptable. We have reinforced police and security, and we have also instructed our officers to ensure that there is order and priorities given according what we are asking of the stakeholders, especially the political parties, is let them ensure the stability, they do not interfere with the process as is being undertaken, and avoid ferrying of these cadres to different jurisdictions other than where they're supposed to be. So please be rest assured that there's sufficient security to secure both the centers and indeed the general public.
Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Moving on in the news, we now turn our focus to the 16 days of gender activism. Like I mentioned earlier, Zambia has joined the rest of the global village in commemorating these days, which are dedicated to championing rights with regards to women and children. And right about now, we are joined by the non-governmental gender organization coordinating council, NGOCC chairperson, Mrs. Mary Mulenga, just to help us highlight one or two issues with regards to this. Mrs. Mulenga, welcome to our news desk. Can you hear me? Welcome to our news desk, Mrs. Mulenga. I think we seem to be getting a challenge with our volume there. Can you hear me?
I can hardly hear you, but...
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on our news desk.
Yeah, thank you very much. But yeah, I'll go.
Okay, so briefly...
I'll go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Briefly, just tell us what the significance of hosting the 16 days of gender activism is in Zambia.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't hear you, but we're talking about the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. And in terms of the significance, I'm sure you're all aware that I think during this period, from the 25th of November to the 10th of December, we joined the international community, to commemorate the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Simply because I think this is an international campaign where we want to remind ourselves about this vice. And so, because we realize that this is something that is hurting our women and girls, not to say that our men and boys are not experiencing it. But when you look at the statistics from the victim support unit, especially, who, where these cases are reported, you find that the victims, the majority of the victims, and the statistics that we have is 99% of this violence is against the women and girls. And this is why I think we heighten our campaign. So the significance is really just to remind ourselves about this terrible vice, that we should be doing something about it.
Owing to the fact that women are the most victims in gender-based violence-related cases, what is the role of men in fighting GBV?
I'm sorry, I can hardly hear, the question.
What is the role of men? Maybe I can just kind of speak up. What is the
men?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, indeed. The men are very I think, very critical in this fight against violence, because if we are talking about the perpetrators being, the men, because we are saying the victims are more of the women, then I think it is very important that we should be educating our men on this vice so that they know that what they are doing is something that is terrible. So we have to sensitize our men to know the impact of this violence against the women and girls.
So now, due to limited time, maybe kindly tell us what tradition play, the part that tradition play in fighting gender-based violence. Other scholars have said it perpetuates gender-based violence. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I think it's it's a known fact that some traditional practices, not everything. I'm a traditionalist, though I'm an activist, but there are some traditional practices that really work, against our women and girls. And the most significant one is the culture of silence. We are told when you're getting married, especially, that if you have a problem, you're not supposed to tell your neighbors. But then if you're going to be battered, left, right, and center, and you don't say something about it, this is why we're having our women dying, in their homes because they don't want to talk about it. And I think this is a practice that should be stopped.
All right, due to limited time, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be calling on you to just help us again discuss other issues with regards to the 16 days of gender activism.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that's the NGOCC board chairperson, Mrs. Mary Molenga, who was just highlighting to us how important the 16 days of gender activism is to us as a country. We take a break. Join me shortly for other stories.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customerservice@lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
Have you had issues in your life and family? Has your life been stagnant or you have been going in circles? All hope is not lost. Your life will bounce back again. Dr. Francis Miles will be speaking at the Court of Heaven Conference on Thursday 3rd and Friday 4th December 2020 from 17 hours to 19 hours. On Saturday the 5th of December 2020, Dr. Francis Miles will conduct a full-day seminar on destroying evil limiting altars. Time 09 hours to 16:30 hours. Lunch and drinks will be on sale. On Sunday, Dr. Miles will conduct a service at 09 hours to 11 hours with your hosts, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chilua. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International. Music by Kings Malembe Malembe. registration is free.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. Chief SIMAMBA of SIAVONGA District, Southern Province, has bemoaned the government's decision to reduce the package being given to farmers under the Farmer Input Support Program. Chief SIMAMBA disclosed that this action has left farmers in a panic mode as they have to look for funds to meet the deficit, which is not easy for everyone to buy the required fertilizer. He says government should have informed the farmers as early as the month of May that it will not provide the complete farming inputs to farmers in order to allow them prepare adequately and buy the required farming inputs. Meanwhile, Mr. SIMAMBA, Chief SIMAMBA has disclosed that farmers in the district have ventured into harvesting different types of crops due to the change in the rain patterns. He adds that so far with the recent rains, the district had many farmers cultivating in their fields and some crops have stopped germinating. Chief SIMAMBA was speaking through his representative, Fanuel SIMAMBA, in an exclusive interview with Camnet TV.
We received last year, though of course rains were not very, we didn't have enough rainfall. So this year a lot of farmers will go into different crops, early maturing varieties, sorghum, maize, cowpeas, sunflower, beans itself. So we just look forward to better harvest. Again, we cannot tell whether this year we'll have enough rains, but from the look of things, it has been a very good start because this is November 20 or so. A week ago we had some good 2 days downpour, and many farmers are very busy on their fields. Some have some germination already, but again what we are complaining is about this the farm support program. We just been told that we will not receive the complete pack that we expected. I don't know whether this is because of the prices of the commodities that have gone up. So it means that we have to look for some funds to meet the deficit.
Absa Bank PLC Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer Mizinga Melu says the informal sector is key to the growth and expansion of the country's economy, adding that her organization seeks to take the economy to the next level. Ms. Melu says the bank is engaging various sectors such as the small and medium enterprises, SMEs on different levels, such as agriculture and mining, which hopes will help boost the local economy. Ms. Melu further says the bank has taken keen interest in the agriculture sector to support farmers by providing financing and vehicle asset financing, especially for tractors and different farming equipment during this farming season under a friendly and flexible interest rates.
For us, it's about how do we really take the economy to the next level by entering the various sectors, i.e. we spoke about SME. SME remains one of our big sectors. You know, in there you've got the ones that are very small, you've got the medium ones, you've got the ones that are commercial. We have also talked about mining, I'm sure you've heard that FISP is coming in and even increasing their investment in the country to about 2 to 3 billion. We are very much working with them on how do we support you on that, and I say that because it's public, they announced it. Energy, the energy sector is one that is also very key to us. Mamba Collieries remains one of our biggest clients, in that sector, ZESCO. So, CEC, how do we again look at that value chain? So that's really what we're all about, and we spoke about agriculture already. In there, in agriculture, again, we're looking at providing financing for farmers, and not only financing, but also vehicle asset financing. Just any asset, especially for tractors during this farming season, we are there to support them with the different equipment that they need and to facilitate them to do their farming season.
The Zambia Association of Manufacturers has asked government to incentivize the sector just like it has done with the tourism sector. Association President Ezekiel Sekile says the sector has exhibited resilience amid the slow economic growth coupled with the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Sekele explains that the sector has been able to overcome the pressure because, unlike the tourism fraternity, it demands on the local market and is less dependent on foreign market. He has since hailed Zambians for embracing local products, further urging them to continue. He tells Camnet TV that they will continue to engage the Ministry of Finance with the view of recommending interventions that would ease the cost of production.
This is more. When you look at the tax policy, where if it's affordable, even some of the people who are not able to pay taxes, you find that when the taxes are not punitive, when people are paying corporate income tax of 35%, when in other countries they are below 30%, they are anywhere between 15 to 30%. You can mention the countries, Botswana, go to Kenya. They are all lower than 35%. Zambia is amongst the highest. Obviously, when you compute at 35%, you are happy because the number is higher. Okay? But when you compute at, say, 20 or 15% or 25%, the number is lower. And you need that high income from tax to be able to meet all the social services that the country so dearly need. But I believe that when you reduce some of these taxes, companies will be able to invest more into the economy.
In other news, the Brazilian Commercial Association of Federal District has expressed interest to partner with the Zambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry and other institutions to maximize business opportunities that can benefit both countries. ACDF President Fernando Brits says collaborations between the private sector and intergovernmental organizations is vital if countries were to make progress and ensure a more sustainable and prosperous future for all. And Zambia's ambassador to Brazil, Dr. Alfreda Kansembe Mwamba, says the Brazilian Commercial Association of Federal District was welcome to exploit the opportunities and benefits of international trade and investment for economic and social development with Zambia. She emphasized that Zambia is looking for investment in technology and skills that will promote industrialization, a key sector to economic development and employment creation. Dr. Kansembe Mwamba made the remarks during the virtual meeting with Brazil's Commercial Association of Federal District in Brasilia. This is contained in a statement issued to Camnet TV by Grace Makowane, who is the first Secretary for Press and Public Relations at the Zambian Embassy in Brazil. In other news, the Zambia National Farmers Union has called for more investment to be pumped into the Zambia Meteorological Department to improve its operations in collecting real-time climate and weather information. ZNFU President Jervis Zimba says the Meteorological Department has been trying to meet the information demand through limited resources. Mr. Zimba says this is a clear indication that with more funding, the department will do exemplary well in relation to offering farmers information regarding to weather patterns and how this could impact agriculture. And Geshom Seti, a meteorology officer, says most parts of the country do not have monitoring systems in place. He says inadequate number of manual monitoring stations has been making it difficult for the department to pick real-time developments in areas without its presence. You're watching Camnet News. We take another set of commercials. When we come back, we look at international and sports news. Stay with us.
And why do you look so pale and busy scratching yourself?
Well, Amwandi, you know my skin is very sensitive. I've tried all the skin products and nothing seems to work.
Have you tried Oracle Pure Glycerin?
Oracle Pure Glycerin? What's that?
Just give me a minute.
Oracle Pure Glycerin gives your skin a youthful and healthy glow.
Ish, you're glowing. Don't tell me. Yes! I already know the secrets. Oracle Pure Glycerin!
Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for that perfect skin.
Take control of your tax planning. Avoid penalties and interest. Returns and payments due by the 10th of the month for declarations of the previous month's transactions are pay as you earn and skills development levy. Returns and payments due by the 14th of the month are turnover tax, withholding tax, mineral royalty tax, tourism levy, gaming and baiting, presumptive tax. Returns and payments for all withholding VAT agents is the 16th of the month. Returns and payments for all VAT registered suppliers is the 18th of the month. Submit the returns and make payments on or before the respective due dates to avoid penalties on the late submission of returns and payments of taxes. Further, note that VAT tax invoices for all business-to-business and business-to-government transactions must bear the TPIN of the buyer without fail. Zambia Revenue Authority. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
Have you heard about Msika? Do you know that you can advertise for as low as 150 kwacha for 30 seconds? Well, Msika is here. Advertise on Msika between 17 hours and 18 hours. Just tell us about the services that you offer and we'll gladly put you on the market. For more details, you can contact +260 953 995099. +260 962 444 726 or +260 971 177 467. Msika, allowing your business to grow.
You're watching Camnet News. We now look at international news. The capital of Ethiopia's northern Tigray region has come under fire. Shelling from government forces, aid workers and regional officials say the center of Mekelle is being hit with heavy weaponry and artillery. The ruling regional party said the Ethiopian army has been locked in conflict with the Tigray People's Liberation Front TPLF for weeks. It says it hopes to seize the city from the TPLF within days, but will avoid harming its 500,000 civilians. Hundreds of people have reportedly been killed and thousands have been forced from their homes as Ethiopian forces have seized towns. The Ethiopian military earlier said it had captured the town of Wikro north of Mekelle along with several other towns in the region. Details of the fighting are hard to confirm because all phones, mobile and internet communication with the Tigray region has been cut. In other international news, thousands of farmers in India have been finally marching on the streets despite police barricades to keep them out of New Delhi. They want the government to scrap laws which could end guaranteed prices for their produce, something they fear could put them out of business. Al Jazeera has more on this story.
Using their tractors to remove police barricades, farmers rode victoriously on their way to the capital region of Delhi. For 3 days, tens of thousands of farmers from the states of Punjab and Haryana pushed barricades, shipping containers, and even trucks out of their way. Tear gas, water cannon, and being hit by police batons didn't stop the farmers from continuing on their march called Let's Go to Delhi.
Farmers across the country want these black laws brought by the government to be repealed. This is our demand.
Farmers are against 3 new laws which allow private companies to buy directly from them. They say the changes will see the end of the government's guaranteed minimum price for their produce and leave them at the mercy of large corporations. Around half of India's 1.3 billion people work in the agriculture sector. Many agree that it needs reforms, but they say these laws won't benefit farmers. After trying to stop the march for days, Delhi police made a concession.
After discussion with farmer leaders, Delhi police has allowed them to hold peaceful protest at Nirankari ground in Buradi. We appeal to them to maintain peace.
But most farmers didn't take up that offer.
We'll block the highway until the government comes to talk to us. We will block the highway here. Who will listen to us there in New Delhi? They'll make us sit somewhere and no one will come to talk to us.
Hours after Delhi police assigned an area for protests on the outskirts of the city, few farmers showed up, even as their supporters set up a food stall to feed them. There is a large police presence here waiting for the farmers, and just as large a presence beyond this area to stop farmers from reaching central Delhi in what have been the biggest protests since the onset of the coronavirus pandemic. Elizabeth Puranam, Al Jazeera, East Delhi.
Well, that's it in international news. We now look at sports news. In sports news, the Copper Queens have beaten Chile by 2-1 in an international friendly match. The team is preparing for Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games to be staged next year in June. Skipper Barbara Banda and Rachel Nachula scored for the Zambian team. Barbara Banda had this to say during the post-match interview. But we seem not to have that clip. That note brings us to the end of our news. But before we do that, let's look at the headlines once again. Heavy rains leave a trail of destruction in CHIKANKATA district. And Gender Minister says no to violence against women. Chief for SIMAMBA of SIAVONGA regrets a government's decision to cut aid under the Farmer Input Support Program. In international news, Ethiopia's Tigray crisis worsens, regional capital under heavy fire. And in sports news, the Copper Queens beat Chile 2-1 in an international friendly. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, and it's coming from Numbers 6 verse 24 to 26, and it reads, "The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace." Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. Remember to be a brother for life and take care of your sister out there. Thank you so much. Good night.